Story time. Um, so I'm gonna tell you a story. This happened back in February 2013. So I was 15 years old at the time. I was nearly 16. I turned 16 2 months later. So yeah, I was an up and coming juvenile athlete. And I had a race. We were racing the 1500 meters indoors. Dublin Championships. If you get in the top three, you qualify for the All Irelands. Now the thing is, this was before Abbottstown was built, so we didn't have an indoor track in Dublin. So we actually ran in Santry outdoors. Okay, but then again, the All Irelands would be in Athlone IT, which is indoor. Athlone IT have an indoor and an outdoor track, which is a bit ridiculous. When the Dublin University have no tracks, and Athlone IT is like it's like a secondary school. It's so small. Um, so yeah, okay, that's not the point of this video. So yeah, I went over there and I got the times mixed up. I thought I saw that it was at seven. Sorry, I thought I saw that it was yeah, I thought I saw that it was at eight. It was actually at seven. So we got there. We got to Santry. My dad drove me over, and we were walking over, and there was like a hill in front of us, so we couldn't actually see what was happening on the track. And I heard the commentator shouting out, "Right, guys, so it's Christian McKenna in the lead," and I'm like, that can't be the Christian McKenna I know, because there's a Christian McKenna in my club who was only 1 year younger than me. And because if his race was on then I was in trouble. I had like 10 minutes before my race started. So he walked over and I got a view of the track and I was like, oh shit, it is Christian McKenna. Oh no, what am I gonna do? My race is gonna start soon. We must have got the times mixed up. Um, so yeah, I did a quick warm up. I ended up missing my race, the under 17s, 1500 meters. So I had to run the under 18s as a guest, just so I could get some race in. And you know, I did that. And yeah, I was up against Adam Dunn. Adam Dunn was a guy in my athletic club, and he was better than me. He would tend to beat me in the cross country races. So I thought, Adam Dunn is a strong guy, so don't be ahead of him at the start of the race. So so we went off, and I was just kind of saying at the back of Adam Dunn, I was like, all right, guys, so yeah, this pace feels a bit slow, but you know what Adam Dunn is like, you can't be, you can't be leading Adam Dunn. You're gonna burn out if you do that. But then my dad kept shouting at me from the side, like, pick it up, Mike, pick it up! Come on, get up there! and eventually he shouted out at me like a few times, and I was like, okay, this does feel a bit slow. We've been running for a while now, so I went ahead of Adam Dunn, and I broke ahead of the chasing pack. And for me, it was a chasing pack. Now I was on my own, and I was trying to keep up with Pierre Merkin. Now Pierre Merkin runs for Celtic. I think they train in like the Phoenix Park, so it was just me against him, but I couldn't catch him. He was just too fast, and I ended up running 4:38, and that was the PB at the time, and and I was like, what the fuck happened to Adam Dunn? And I just looked back at him, and I shake his hand, and I'm like, well done, Adam. You didn't do, but I was thinking in my mind, why did you run so slow? And he was on the ground like, he looked like he was dead, and I was like, okay, what's going on there? Turns out, he started drinking a lot, and I think that kind of affected his training, and affected his form. Maybe he wasn't training as much as he used to be. At that age, you're 16, 17, it happens. This is Ireland, for God's sake. And so yeah, Adam Dunn didn't last that much longer. I think he trained with us for like another year, then he kind of stopped training with us, if you know what I mean. So but then again, so I came second, so I was top three. So technically, I should have, I was like, okay, I probably didn't qualify for the All Irelands because I was just running as a guest. But my coach Eddie said that I had qualified for the All Irelands. Okay, so the All Irelands were in Athlone IT, so I was told that we were meant to go out there. So my dad drove me out to Athlone, and we went over there, and we were told that we weren't allowed to run. It's like, you ran that as a guest. You can't. You can't run the All Irelands as a guest. You ran the wrong race. That doesn't count. You ran open age. So we were like, oh my god, we driven all the way up to Athlone to run a race, and we're told we can't run. So we drove for 2 hours for nothing. So then we have to go home. And then my dad, he was like, all right, we can't waste the day. We have to do a time trial. We have to do a mile time trial. And he meant doing that on my own. And personally, I think doing mile time trials on my own is just stupid. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't push yourself when you're on your own. Okay, it's okay. Maybe if you're doing like a tempo run or an easy run, you can kind of get away with it on your own. But when you're running a fast, shorter race like that, you really need to push yourself, dig deep. You need somebody else to be racing with. Okay, you need that adrenaline rush. You don't get that adrenaline rush when you're just there on your own in an empty track. So, my dad dropped me off to Santry, and the guy there told us, oh, we were meant to close in 5 minutes, and he said, oh, it's okay if you just do a quick mile time trial. And he said, oh, okay, go ahead, and but we'll have to be closing as soon as you're finished. And so that's what we did. We went out there. I ran the mile time trial. I can't remember the time. It was dreadful. It was like 5:16 or something. And he was like, Mark, you ran like a sub 5 minute mile the other day in the Dublins, and now you can only run a 5:20. The thing was, I kind of changed my training around that time. My dad used to always have me training on the track, track sessions. But then I changed my sessions. I started doing them on the hills, and my dad said, "Oh, it's all because of those hills. The hills slow you down." And I actually believed him, and I got back to doing my sessions on the track rather than on the hills. And I started to think that my dad was right to stay away from the hills, because that's what my club advised. And but no, it was because I was racing on my own. You cannot push yourself properly if you're racing on your own. It just doesn't work like that. I learned that the hard way. But also you have to. My coach is a bit unreliable like that. So if your coach tells you that, if Eddie tells you that you're signed up for a race and you're not certain, do not take his word for it. Ring the guys in charge. Say, hi, am I actually signed up for this race? And then you'll get confirmation, if you know what I mean.